as President Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso is ditching the West and forming solid alliances with the Russian government, William Ruto of Kenya is attempting to befriend USA and China at the same time, yet the two countries are big military and economic rivals. This is what has made the American government to be very angry with President Ruto. In fact, the matter is being discussed in the U.S. House of Senate.
Many African nations maintain troubling ties with China, including key national security partners. Just last month, President Ruto declared that Kenya, a major non-NATO ally, and China are co-architects of a new world order. That's not just alignment to China, it's allegiance. I submit for the record the text of that speech. I'm going to enter it in the record at the conclusion of the hearing that describes this. Relying on leaders who embrace Beijing so openly is an error. It's time to reassess our relationship with Kenya and others who forge tight bonds with China.
Now, in this video, I want us to look into how William Ruto and his Foreign Affairs CS Musalia Mudavadi screwed up into this diplomatic role with the United States, and without wasting time, let's get after it. About a year or so ago, after the US government declared Kenya a major NATO ally in addition to being promised goodies worth millions of dollars, Ruto decided to go on another state visit to China, where he declared that Kenya and China are co-architects of a new world order, and this is what has brought tensions in Washington.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kenya and China are not merely trade partners. We are co-architects of a new world order, one that is fair, inclusive, and sustainable.
Now, while in China, Ruto presumed that he can be the bridge connecting West and South, that is to say US and China, despite the rivalry between the two countries.
Perhaps, symbolically, Kenya can serve as a bridge between East and West, North and South, in an era of deepening geopolitical tensions.
Kenya's political commentators believe that Ruto's speech in China was that of badmouthing the US, the IMF, and the World Bank and other financial institutions, the same way he would insult Raila Odinga in his absence and then sing songs of praises to him in his backyard in Nyanza.
But talking about the headline in the Standard, where the president slammed the World Bank because he was in China. I think he was in his character. That is what President Ruto does. When he visits you, he'll praise you. When he goes to your neighbor, he will say how bad you are. And that is in his character. In fact, if you checked during the campaigns, anytime he went around anywhere near Luo Nyanza, he would call Raila Odinga Agwambo. But when he comes to the mountain, he would call him a witch. I'm just trying to explain that it was in his character that when he is with you, he will praise you. But when he is far from you, he will say how bad you are.
China and the US are military and economic rivals. Now, picture this. Kenya is the only non-NATO ally of the United States in East and Central Africa. And according to the US, this is a privilege that cannot be given to just any African country. So William Ruto goes to China in a state visit to meet communist leader Xi Jinping. Ruto's visit signaled a deepening Kenya-China ties with over 20 bilateral agreements signed in infrastructure, trade, and technology. And this is why US Senator James Risch criticized the nature of this visit as not just an alignment, but an allegiance to China, questioning Kenya's loyalty as a non-NATO ally. Now look at the timing of Ruto's visit to China. The visit coincided with heightened US-China trade disputes, notably after US President Donald Trump imposed a 10% tariff on Kenya's imports on April 8, 2025. Now, Ruto's pledge to strengthen ties with Beijing was seen as a response to these tariffs, which, as we know, disrupted the global trade and strained US-Kenya relations. American senators viewed the state visit as a strategic move to counter reduced Western support, especially now that the US has cut aid and imposed trade barriers into Kenya. Now, the real issue, however, lies in Kenya's strategic ambiguity. Ruto's foreign policy has appeared inconsistent, balancing between Western and Chinese partnerships. His May 2024 US visit secured Kenya's non-NATO ally status, but the China trip suggested a complete shift. Observers note that Ruto initially favored the West, but turned to China due to unmet funding promises and US tariffs which undermined trust in Washington. America fears that Kenya's growing reliance on China for infrastructure projects like the standard gauge railway extension could reduce American influence or completely eradicate it in East Africa. The other issue is concerns over global South alliances. Remember, Ruto and Chinese President Xi Jinping emphasized a China-Africa all-weather community, opposing a US-led trade barriers and sanctions. The US perceives this as China leveraging Kenya to build a global South coalition against Western hegemony, especially as Ruto expressed interest in BRICS. Now, such alliance challenges US dominance in international trade and security, prompting calls to reassess US-Kenya relations. Now, at the end of the day, these are just but my opinion. Do let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more informative content such as this.